Welcome everyone, I'm the Depressed Dior, and this is Marvel Champions the card game on Tabletop Simulator. This module here is pretty good. It has some similarities to the Arkham Horror module where you can actually take advantage of the online deck building Marvel DB, and you can actually import decks with that. So yeah, as mentioned, this is a living card game involving the Marvel universe. You'll play various heroes and anti-heroes and go up against various villains and their various schemes. You can play these as just one-off scenarios where you just go up against a villain or a group of villains and then just finish. They do after the core game, the core box. They do introduce some campaigns where it has a little bit of living card-esque type stuff, kind of similar to Arkham Horror, where if you complete a scenario, you progress to the next one, but you also get some like perks that you can add to your deck and things like that. For now, I'm just going to be sticking to one-off scenarios as I get kind of familiar with the game. One thing I learned very quickly when I attempted to record this before is I did not know all the rules yet. The core box comes with this learn to play book, which is pretty helpful, and then this rules reference book. And you definitely need to kind of look through both of them. And the rules reference is a bit intimidating. It is a lot of pages. They do have an index to kind of help you find things that you need to know, but it does have pretty much things you really need to keep track of, like running out of cards in your deck and things like that. That was a rule I made that I did not know for every single scenario I played up to this point, even before I started recording them when I was just playing on my own. But when you run out of cards in your specific deck, you actually have to get encounter cards for that. Also, this game kind of does encounter cards a little bit different compared to Arkham Horror. But yeah, so my intention here is just to kind of go. This first video is going to be rather long, as I kind of go step by step, go through the rules here. This learn to play book is actually pretty decent. It's just missing a couple of things that I wish it kind of had added in, like the mention about what happens when the deck runs out of cards and things like that. I don't even know if it actually talks about acceleration in this. I'm just curious at this point. So yeah, I don't think it actually talks about acceleration tokens. Okay. All right. Well, the good news is it does have this little step-by-step setup instruction type thing. So we're going to go follow that and just kind of explain things as I go. So conveniently, the first thing we need to do is select our heroes. So for this, I'm going to be playing two heroes because I don't want to play solo. For those who are not familiar with how I tend to play games and in board games, I generally try to pick female characters. In this game, there's also allies, and I do my best to try to use only female allies, which definitely adds a little bit of extra challenge and interesting deck building, because obviously I won't be able to use characters that most decks like to use, like Nick Fury and Professor X. So, also the heroes I will be picking as I go through the core box, and then start going through like the scenario boxes the campaign boxes. I'll try to include at least one hero from each expansion. So, for example, this core box actually has, I think, 4 or 5 heroes. Yeah, it might be 4 or 5. And has 2 of them that are female. They have Captain Marvel and She-Hulk. So for this core box, I'll be using those 2 heroes. And then for like Rise of the Red Skull, which introduces Spider-Woman and Hawkeye, I'll use Spider-Woman, then use some other character. There are a number of heroes that are not associated with any expansion. They're just part of their own little hero pack that you can get. There's also some villains that are not part of any of the expansions either. They're part of their own little villain pack as well. I'll probably do those after I've done all the expansions, or if I hit a wall on difficulty on some point. In any case, so yeah, we need to pick our 2 heroes. So as mentioned, I'm going to go ahead and go with Captain Marvel and She-Hulk. Now the thing about heroes and deck building in this game, we'll go ahead and go over the hero first. Now, one thing it does say as part of the step-by-step here is to set them to their set each card to their alter ego side. So every hero has an alter ego and a hero side. At a bare minimum, there are some characters that have more forms than that. And the way it works is you can actually switch between these two. You can even make decks that revolve around purely staying in the hero side or purely staying in the alter ego side, which I think is really cool. Like, for example, you can do it like a shield agent deck, where you just try to stay in alter ego and just, command a bunch of shield agents to do your bidding. As for the stats, obviously the stats for each side are different. For the alter ego, they'll have a recovery stat, which is that Rec 4 up there. What that means is, I think they're called like basic powers. To perform a basic power, you have to exhaust the card, so tap it essentially, and you can activate a basic power. So on the alter ego, you have recovery, and then on the hero side, you have thwart, attack, and defense. What recovery does is recovers HP. So if I was down HP, like I was at 8, and I used recovery, I would recover 4 and go up to max HP. The other things to note is in the bottom left, there's a hand size and HP. The hit points are usually the same for both sides. I haven't seen any situations where they're different. But one thing that does tend to change is the hand size. So in Alter Ego, it's 6, but on Hero side, it's 5. And that's definitely one of the advantages of going to Alter Ego is you get more cards during your turn. And obviously, when you run out of HP, you are defeated, which is generally very bad. And also, very much like Arkham Horror, all cards have various traits, including the heroes. So on the Alter Ego side, Carol Danvers here has Shield and Soldier, and the Captain Marvel side has Avenger and Soldier. And that does matter in some cases. There are cards out there that says you can only play this if you have X type, and it doesn't matter if the other side of your card has it. You have to be on that side of the card to do it. Also, generally, the Alter Ego and the Hero side both have special powers. In this case, Carol Danvers has the ability to just draw a card. Also, some cards will have little fancy quotes, which I will try to read as I see them. So it's my job to protect the Earth and everyone on it. And then we got Captain Marvel over here, which is I never quit. And as I mentioned before, there's thwart, attack, and defense. Attack is pretty straightforward. The number you do is how much damage you do. You can target either a minion or a villain, unless it says otherwise. Defense is something where you exhaust during the villain's turn, where they attack you, either with a minion or by themselves. And if you choose to defend, you actually reduce the damage based off your defense. So in this case, if I were to defend, it would reduce the damage by 1. Not exactly efficient. Obviously, the trade-off if you defend against an attack is you will be exhausted during your turn, in which case you won't be able to do the other functions like thwart and attack. Thwarting is... I guess you can consider it the kind of the clover type thing from Arkham Horror. There are multiple ways. There are a couple of ways to lose this game, which is one of it's just having everyone be defeated through physical damage, and the other one is letting the main scheme progress. And the way to prevent the main scheme and side schemes from building up too much is to use thwart. Every point of thwart, whenever you perform a thwart action, will reduce the amount of threat on a scheme by that many points. So it's definitely a good idea to have somebody that can at least is good at thwarting, so you can actually prevent the main scheme from progressing as you deal with the villain. All right. As for Captain Marvel, the hero side, special ability, she has Rechannel, which is spend a. There are 4 different icons for resources. There's a wild icon, energy, strength, and genius. So that little jagged arrow is a energy resource. So spend 1 energy resource and heal 1 damage from Captain Marvel to draw a card. Now, if you see those little arrows, that little arrow between the Captain Marvel and draw 1 card, everything preceding that arrow you have to complete in order to draw that card. That's essentially known as the cost of the card of the action. So the cost is not just the resource, but also you have to heal 1 damage. So if Captain Marvel's at full HP, then she can't actually activate this effect. Also, all hero and alter ego effects are limited once per round. You can do things where you can do the hero action and then swap over to alter ego and do the alter ego form ability if you need to. That's definitely a strategy you can take advantage of. Now, as far as the deck building, you can have anywhere from 40 to 50 cards. It does give you a slight range of deck sizes you can go with. Most builds that I see on the Marvel DB site is usually 40 cards. There are very few exceptions. mainly because you generally want to cycle through your deck a lot so you can get access to certain cards. Obviously, cycling through the deck is also a little dangerous, but from what I've seen, most people will still prefer having the fewest cards as possible. The way the decks are built is you have to include all 15 of the hero's hero-specific cards, which are represented by that little face icon on the bottom right. It'll also say the hero's name and a number for it. So on the bottom right of this Cosmic Flight, it says, Captain Marvel 13 of 15. So those have to be included. And then from there you can have any number of other cards. But before you do that, you have to choose what's called an aspect. I'm going to say there are 4. There are technically more, but for the purposes of figuring out this game, there are 4 aspects. And they're by color. There is blue, red, green, and yellow. Red is aggression, which is generally focused around not only doing damage, but also dealing with minions, specifically. Yellow is justice, which is focused more on controlling the schemes and thwarting. Blue is leadership, which is focused on allies and buffing allies and making them do stuff, or taking advantage of that. You have a number of allies and using them for other things besides just defending and attacking or thwarting. And then there is green, which is protection, which is focused on mostly defending and enduring attacks. So whatever aspect you pick for your deck building, you can add that color to your deck, but you cannot add the other ones. So for this Captain Marvel deck, I went with leadership. So I have leadership cards, and you will not see the other 3 colors in here. Now, as always, when I start saying certain rules, if a card says something different, you always go with what the card says. So if there's exceptions, then there are exceptions. All right. As for the cards themselves, there's kind of a variety of them. There are resource cards, which are usually just designed to provide resources. Technically, all cards in your hand can be used as a resource, but cards that are specifically categorized as resource usually are either provide more resources or provide an additional effect when you use them as a resource. There's also, of course, allies. You are limited to having only 3 allies out at a time. If there's ever a situation where you summon an additional ally beyond 3, you have to immediately discard one of the active ones. The way allies work is they have thwart and attack, very similar to what your hero does. They don't have defend. They don't have defense, but they can be used to soak at a hit if you want them to. They do have a set amount of health, which is that little for Squirrel Girl here. If you see that orange number 2, that's her health. Of course, all cards here have traits. So, for example, Squirrel Girl here has Avenger. So there are situations where there's synergies between Avenger cards that you can take advantage of. Also in the top left above the word ally is another number 2. That is the cost of the card. The way you pay for a card is if you look in the bottom left of this card, you'll see that there's that blue icon. That is a genius resource. You can discard cards to pay for other cards. So, for example, I could discard this Squirrel Girl that was in my hand to get a genius resource to pay for something else. Unless it says otherwise, all you have to do is provide a certain number of resources, and the type doesn't matter. But there are some cards that will say, hey, you need to actually use this type of resource. Like, for example, this energy channel, you can spend an action to put X energy resources. So it either has to be energy or it has to be wilds. And just to kind of show an example of other resource cards. So Genius here is a resource card. You can see it has 2 icons, so it actually provides two Genius resources. One thing I've heard as far as anything that provides multiple resources, you can't split them. So for example, this Genius here, you could of course use it to pay for this, enhanced reflexes with just this one card. But you can't use this one card to pay for 2 1 cost. Like you can't pay for both Triskelion and Stinger here, for example. So yeah, we got resources, allies, upgrades, which generally stay out on the field and kind of provide you a prolonged benefit. There is also support, which I am trying to find a support card. I have upgrades, but I don't know if I have a support card on this one. That's an upgrade. Okay, support. I don't really know exactly what the difference between upgrade and support are. Both of them kind of have the same similar idea, where they just you plate them onto your board, and they just kind of hang around so they can and provide additional benefits. They can provide something like additional defense or just a stat boost. Others can provide situations where you can activate it to, cycle through your deck faster or get more resources and all that good stuff. So yeah, resources, allies, support, upgrades, and then there are events. And events are pretty much very similar to what they are in Arkham Horror. You can activate them to do various things. Now, one thing to note is if you look at the description of Crisis Interdiction here, it says hero action. Some things will say just action, and some things will say alter ego action. Action that by itself means you can do it no matter what, for the most part, as long as you meet whatever requirements are necessary. If it's a hero action, you have to be in hero form. And if it's alter ego, you have to be in alter ego. There's also some situations where it may have an additional requirement, like, hey, you can't use this card unless you're a soldier or an avenger or something like that. Or you have to control a card with that type on it. And that's kind of the gist of it. Besides all that, I think that's everything. So yeah, as for the deck itself, Captain Marvel is really pretty good. 12 HP is generally average or above average HP. Her recovery is not too bad. Her 2 and 2s for attack and thwart means she has a little bit of flexibility on what she can do. As for her hero-specific cards, she has a lot of ways of getting a lot of resources, and she likes to use energy resources to get a lot of extra benefits, like charge up to do a big hit, or draw a card after doing a big hit, and things similar to that. As for the leadership side, that's mostly there so I can actually take advantage of the allies. And Captain Marvel, as I mentioned before, her hero side and her alter ego side, both her powers are actually really good. So more often than not, you'll probably see me swap between them pretty often, so I can take advantage of the card draw that I can get from this. That's the one thing I definitely noticed is she gets a lot of card draw just from her abilities. And then the leadership side is mostly there just to kind of help provide additional allies to either soak hits or help with thwarting. And that's kind of it. All right, so sorry for all this. It's taken a lot to explain. As for the other character, we have She-Hulk. She has 15 HP, and then she has 6 hand size in alter ego, but only 4 hand size in hero form. This is her biggest weakness, is her hand size in hero form being only 4. But in alter ego, she is Jennifer Walters, Tourney, Gamma, and she has the ability I Object as an interrupt, and when threat would be placed on a scheme, she prevents one of that threat. This is a really great ability. Granted, it's only active when she's in alter ego, but it essentially, I mean, I guess to put simply, during the villain's turn, the first thing that happens is threat gets put on the main scheme, and it's based off the number of players usually. So in this case, it'll usually go up by 2. With Jennifer Walters, I reduce that by half every round, and that definitely adds up. One other thing to note about Jennifer Walters is she has 5 recovery, which goes well with her 15 health. 15 health is the highest I've seen so far, but I haven't really played with that many heroes yet. In any case, she does have the quote, "I can turn into Hulk anytime I want, but just because you do something doesn't always mean you should." And then her She-Hulk side, she's Avenger Gamma. She has 1 thwart, so she's not very good at it. She has 2 defense, but she has 3 attack. Having a 3 in a stat is usually very impressive, especially if it's attack or thwarting, because it's quite the big hit. Her special ability is Do You Even Lift, and it's a response. After you change into this form, you deal 2 damage to an enemy. Again, this is a really good ability, because just going from Jennifer Walters to She-Hulk, you're just going to hit something for 2. And it's not an attack, so it can bypass things like guard. I'm 6'7", and bright green people are gonna stare no matter how I dress. As for the aspect I went with for this deck, I went with protection. I do have a She-Hulk deck that uses leadership, but since I'm already using leadership with Captain Marvel, I didn't want to have overlap. One thing I did forget to talk about as far as cards are concerned, I can show it here. for this Hellcat card, off to the left of it, you can see, of the name, you can see that there's a little star there. That star means unique, and it means that only one of that card can be on the field at a time. So, for example, there's an actual ally version of Captain Marvel that you can actually have as an ally that you can pay for and summon. But if you happen to have a partner that's playing as Captain Marvel, then and they're in their hero form, you won't actually be able to play that ally. If there's ever a situation where there's more than one of a unique card out in play, one of them has to be immediately discarded. So that's the main reason why I didn't want to go dual leadership, because leadership especially relies on allies, and all allies are unique. So I would be She-Hulk would either I would have to change her deck entirely, or I would have to be very concerned on the timing of when I play certain cards. Anyway, so yeah, she's protection, so she has a lot of stuff that will help her kind of soak hits, get healed, and potentially she can actually do a little bit of thwarting, but it's at the cost of being hit. As for her actual exclusive abilities, majority of it is just stuff about hitting things really hard, and then a lot of it's like hitting things really hard and hurting herself to get some card draw. She has a little bit of thwarting ability, but most of it's not very good, unless with the exception of legal practice, which is really good, but only if you can get it out, and only not legal practice. Sorry, legal practice is the bad one. It's not very efficient. But there's another card she gets. Superhuman split, Gamma Slam, 1-2 punch. Superhuman Law Division. This thing is actually really good for thwarting, but it can only be used during while in alter ego form, which is fine because you generally want her in alter ego because she helps with reducing the amount of threat that gets generated. But yeah, for the most part, her big thing is she has what's called Gamma Slam, which will do damage based off the amount of damage she has. And yeah, she has 15 health, so she could potentially do upwards to 14 damage in a single attack with this. It's very expensive, so it's something you can bulk up to. And you can also have some control over it with your Focus Rage, because you can just deal damage to yourself to draw cards, which can be very helpful. This deck does have the Symbiote suit, which I guess I'll point out on the bottom left where that's that little green star. That's the wild icon. And then this icon here is, as you can probably guess from the name of the card, is Strength. The Symbiote suit actually is a card that does a negative effect on top of a very big buff, but I'll talk about those icons as they come along. And with that, that's kind of the gist of it. Sorry if it wasn't the best explanation. I'm still learning this game. So yeah, we have our two heroes that we're going with. They have to start in Alter Ego, so we have them starting in that. Also, one thing to point out as far as the module is concerned is they have mats for almost every hero, but not all of them. But it's pretty neat. As you can see, we got a Captain Marvel and a She-Hulk mat. All right, so picked our heroes, set our HP. We already did that. Select the first player. So they have this icon to be the first player token, but for this module, it's actually Linger. So no matter what, I will always set the left mat to be the first player. So if I forget, then I will always just set it to the left one, no matter what. Set aside obligations. So other things that each hero has is their own obligation card. So obligations are cards that get put into the encounter deck, and if you, no matter who draws them, it will immediately go to the person that owns the obligation. So for example, if She-Hulk drew Family Emergency, it would immediately get handed over to Captain Marvel. And the way these things usually work is they'll do an effect based off a situation. Most of them will let you do things like, most of them consist of this, where they allow you to switch to Alter Ego, and then you can exhaust it or remove it from the game. Or it'll do some sort of negative effect, and then it gets discarded. If it's discarded, that means you can potentially draw it again from the encounter deck. So yeah, for She-Hulk, she has legal work. Essentially, she can either exhaust herself in Alter Ego to get rid of it, or she adds an acceleration token, which is really pretty nasty. You don't want that to happen. Acceleration tokens essentially means this the villain generates threat faster. And then over here we have, you can exhaust Carol Danvers to remove it from the game, or you can become stunned. What stun does is the next time you try to attack with her, she instead of attacking, she will discard the stun. The other thing it also does is it gains surge, which means that you draw another encounter card. So for multiple reasons, you don't want this effect to happen. The stun by itself is not too bad in most cases, because you can easily get rid of it. Or if you're playing a character that's more focused on allies or thwarting, then you don't really care if you're stunned or not. But in this case, since it does a surge, then you definitely don't want it to happen. The other thing that the all heroes will provide is a unique villain and side scheme. These don't get added to the deck immediately. There's a card specifically in the encounter deck that'll tell you to add these cards to the deck. When it happens, it definitely could change the landscape of the game, because some people's arch nemesis and side scheme could be very, very devastating. But essentially, it consists of 5 cards. It'll consist of a minion that is their arch nemesis, a side scheme, and then 3 treachery cards that are added to the encounter deck. So, like I said, these don't get added in just yet. So, set aside the obligations. It's just talking about this. Set aside the nemesis sets, which we just talked about. Shuffle the player decks. So we'll go ahead and do that now. Okay, shuffled. All right. Let's see. Each player shuffles there. Yeah, it says to place it near the identity card, but we'll just keep it where it's at. Collect all the tokens and stuff. We don't need to worry about that. Select the villain. All right. So the villain they recommend is, of course, the Rhino, which we are going to start with. So up here in the boxes, you can place the villains, in which case they just display on this side here, and you can just pick from the list. I'm just going to go ahead and just search for them. And as you see, there's quite a variety of them. If we scroll down or scroll up, okay, here's Rhino. So we put Rhino, and you got 2 buttons here. You got Standard and Expert. We're going to be playing in Standard. So if we click Standard here, it does this. So it's going to do a few things. First, it's going to set all the cards up for you. It's going to set up the villain cards, which are going to consist of 2 versions. If you need to know what the setup is, it's actually right here. So here's the main scheme, and you start with 1A, and then you go to 1B, and then 2A, 2B, and etc. until the game ends. So we'll go ahead and read this first. The break-in. The Rhino is attacking a shield facility. Rhino 1 and 2. Or use 2 and 3 if you're doing expert mode. So we have Rhino 1, and underneath this is Rhino 2. I'm not going to pick up this card because it's going to mess up this button here. The Rhino and Standard encounter sets. So right now, these cards here are the Rhino encounter cards, and then down here is the Standard set. The Standard set is usually pretty much the same for every villain, but the only difference for their specific ones is the pictures and the quotes, which is kind of neat. So we're going to go ahead and add these cards because they're the standards. And then it says a 1 module set, and it recommends Bomb Scare. So Bomb Scare is down here, so we're just going to click Place, and it's going to add those cards for us. Now, about modules. You could actually, we could choose to not do Bomb Scare. We could literally do any other module set. Like, for example, there's a list of them here. We could, instead of doing Bomb Scare, we could do something like, I don't know, Hydra Assault. Maybe Rhino is working with Hydra now. Or, teamed up with Magneto and the Brotherhood. Or, suddenly has teamed up with the dinosaurs. You can definitely customize a lot of these villains by swapping the module set. Like, there's one, I think, that involves the chair. Yeah, there's the Doomsday chair here. There's one, I think, involving the Infinity Gauntlet. So you could do a weird thing where it's the Rhino, but he's apparently trying to get the Infinity Stones or something like that. Or maybe teamed up with Lady Deathstrike. So, there's a lot of things. But for the purposes of me going through this, I will do the recommended. Maybe if I ever get through all these and decide to do some other ones, I'll probably see about maybe mixing and matching or randomizing and see what happens. So for right now, we're just going to have the Bomb Scare. Also, for the most part, each of the villains themselves have difficulty levels as far as like rankings that the book will actually mention a little bit. Same module sets have the same thing. So Bomb Scare is actually ranked as 1 for the easiest difficulty, and then the highest difficulty that's introduced is like 5. I guess one other thing to say is the core book has 3 villains in it, but it has 5 module sets. With 2 of those module sets being the hardest ones, and they're not automatically included in any of the villains. So if you do want to make things harder without going to expert, you can always just swap those in, and that'll make things probably more interesting as well. Anyway, we've gotten everything set up here, so we're going to go ahead and flip to stage 1B, which is just going to be to flip this over. So main schemes may consist of multiple steps. In the case of the Rhino, though, there is only one main scheme. So the break-in, Rhino is trying to smash through the facility wall and steal a shipment of vibranium. You must stop him. If this stage is completed, the players lose the game. So, like I mentioned before, the main scheme is definitely one of the ways you can lose the game. And for Rhino, there's literally only one step. So if this thing ever gets completed, then we lose. In the top left, it has that 7 and a person icon. That represents how much threat is required to complete it. So we have 2 players, so it requires 14 threat to advance. And then in the bottom middle there's that +1 and then the 0. The 0 represents its starting threat, so it stays at 0. And then the +1 with a per person is the other thing. So during the place threat step of place threat on the main scheme step, that's how much threat is produced. So every round on step 1, it's going to make 2 threat, and of course it'll build up eventually to 14 and then lose. I haven't really talked about the villain himself, so I'll go ahead and take care of that real quick. So Rhino, brute, criminal. I'm Rhino. I knock things down. That's what I do. That's who I am. In the bottom middle there, it says hit points, 14 per person. So the module will set this up based off the number of players, but since it thinks I'm just playing single player, it's going to always base it off single player, so I'm just going to have to add that myself. Anyway, he does have traits, brute, criminal, and then he has scheme and attack. So scheme is essentially the opposite of forward. Any situation where the villain will scheme, they will do whatever their scheme value in threat, along with any boost icons, which we'll talk about boosting when it happens. And then, of course, the attack is pretty straightforward. That's how much damage he does base. And then, that's pretty much the gist of it. So your general goal here is to keep control of the main scheme while beating the tar out of the villain until he reaches 0 HP. Pretty much every villain has at least 2 phases. In expert difficulty, it's 2 and 3. And then in normal difficulty, it's 1 and 2. Or standard difficulty, it's 1 and 2. So once we do 28 damage to this guy, he is going to go to his face. We'll go ahead and click Advanced Stage, in which case he'll switch to essentially a more dangerous and threatening form. Alright, so with all that said and done, let's go ahead and go over all of this. So, select villain, set its HP, we did it. Resolve the scheme step, which is what we did with the back of that card. Create and shuffle the encounter deck, which is what we almost did. So we add in the module sets, his standard set, and we also have to add in the obligations. So at this point, this is when we add the obligations. This is actually important to know because sometimes the back of the 1A step of the scheme will sometimes have steps involving the encounter deck, in which case you'll need to do that step before you actually add in the obligations. All right, so with that, we have 32 cards shuffled, and we're good. All right, draw cards, resolve mulligans, and then we go ahead and do any other additional setups, and then we begin. So, for draw cards, we draw up to our max hand size. So the max hand size for both these characters and alter ego is 6. So let's go ahead and get started. I've already shuffled. So I'm going to go ahead and I need to set my I'll set my color. There we go. All right. We'll go ahead and draw. All right. And the way mulligan works is you discard those cards and then you draw new cards. So you do actually completely discard them. And you won't be able to see them until you cycle through your deck. So I'm just kind of seeing what my options are. I don't really care about the Avengers Assemble. So things you generally want to do early on for a lot of characters is to try to get like upgrades and support cards out early, so you can start getting that up and running. I don't care about Captain Marvel's helmet. The enhanced reflexes is good. The energy absorption is good. I kind of want to discard Stinger. But I think I want to keep him. Yeah, I'll just keep him. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and just draw 2 cards because we discarded 2. Okay. Alright, I can work with this. Alright, so with that in mind, let's go ahead and go to Jennifer sorry, not Watson. Jennifer Walters. And I'll have to deal the blue. Okay. Don't need the preservation right now. Energy barrier's good. Don't need bait and switch right now. Don't need what doesn't kill me. Some of these I definitely don't need. Like, I don't need to thwart on the first round because there's no threat. And I don't need to heal, so I don't need that part either. And this thing does require you to heal, so it doesn't help me. The 1-2 punch is not bad. I think I almost want to get rid of it for this round, though. I mean, it definitely does some good damage, though. We'll keep it, and we'll see how things go. Alright, so we're going to discard 3 cards. Yeah, because I'm tempted to just stay as Jennifer Walters for a little bit, but I think for now, I think I'm going to go ahead and do some punching, since it presented the option. Okay. I might not end up punching anything. Okay, that's fine. So we finished the we are good to go. So first player is Captain Marvel. So phases. You go in player order. You can play cards, trigger and request actions, use basic action, thwart and recovery powers, change your form, which is limited once per round. So for example, I could change to Captain Marvel, but I wouldn't be able to switch immediately back until next round. And vice versa. And then you end your turn. And then after everyone's finished, we'll do some discard and drawing. So one thing I will point out about the trigger and request action, you can actually request actions from your other player, even though it's not their turn, and they can actually activate effects to help you, which can be helpful. I'm not going to worry about that right now, though. All right, so first things first. A lot of these things require me to go into hero form. I'm going to go ahead and do Carol Danvers' ability and draw 1 card. I could also have a player, I could choose a player to draw a card, actually. I'm just seeing what I can do. I can go, so these are paid for. If I drew a card, I could pay for this. But I wouldn't be able to pay for anything else. Actually, yeah. I think it's going to end up being like this. Okay, I'm actually going to use Carol Danvers' ability to have She-Hulk draw a card. There we go. Whew. Alright, well, she's going to be busy. Alright, and then I'm going to go ahead and switch to hero form. And we're going to go ahead and get started. So, first things first, I'm going to go ahead and do energy absorption. Oh, I forgot I was going to draw a card with this. That's okay. So, energy absorption, that's enough from Captain Marvel. It produces 3 energy resources. I'm going to use 3 to pay for the photonic blast here. Hero action, attack for 5 damage, and if you pay this using energy resources, using an energy resource, you draw 1 card. So we do 5 damage, and we draw 1 card. Alright. I am going to go ahead and I really wanted to get this enhanced reflexes out. I should have actually drawn a card herself, but that was my bad. I could opt to not do energy channel. I think that's probably what I'll have to do. I wanted to get energy channel to start building that up, but I don't think that's really in the cards. So I'll discard energy channel, which will provide 1 genius. Discard this card, which will provide 1 energy, and use that to play enhanced reflexes. So enhanced reflexes has 3 energy counters on it. And as a hero resource, I can exhaust it to remove 1 energy and produce an energy with it, which is not too shabby. I'm going to go ahead and discard Stinger and use that to pay for Alpha Flight Station. So Alpha Flight Station, location shield, exhaust Alpha Flight Station, choose and discard 1 card from your hand to draw 1 card, or 2 cards if you are Carol Danvers. So if I'm an alter ego, I can actually draw more cards. This low orbit space station can beam cargo and crew to and from the Triskelion. All right, and then for Captain Marvel, I am going to go ahead and attack with her for 2 damage. There you go. We've done 7 damage to him. All right, I was just seeing if I missed any quotes. I didn't. All right, and then we go to She-Hulk. So, She-Hulk. Kind of have a lot to play around with here. More than a lot of, yeah, this extra card is, I need to get it out. So, yeah, I think I'm not going to do anything with Jennifer Walt. I'm not going to switch to hero form this round, I don't think. So I'm going to go ahead and discard Limitless Stamina to play Superhuman Law Division. So this is a support card. And then you can, as an alter ego action, you can exhaust it to spend a genius resource to remove 2 threat from a scheme. There's actually an errata that removes that thwart icon, or thwart keyword. It actually doesn't require, it actually is not a thwart action. That does have an influence because technically this means you can do it while being confused. I'll be sending you a bill. My time is valuable these days. All right, so we got that out. And then I'm going to go ahead and use a strength, which produces 2. And a 1-2 punch to get out Focused Rage. Upgrade skill, hero action, exhaust Focused Rage, take 1 damage, draw 1 card. Like Bruce, I thought I could control my power, my rage. And with that, so actually I think I will go into hero form. Let's go ahead and switch to hero form. So do you even lift? Response, after you change to this form, deal 2 damage to an enemy. I'll deal 2 damage to Rhino. And I will go ahead let's do attack. Let's do I'm actually okay with taking damage right now. So yeah, let's do I'm gonna go ahead and exhaust Focus Rage, take 1 damage and draw a card. Alright. I'm gonna go ahead and discard Energy Barrier and What Doesn't Kill Me to play Superhuman Strength. So she has +2 attack, so she has 5 attack. And then as it's a superpower, as a force response, if after I attack, I can I discard this to stun the enemy. So I'm going to go ahead and attack now for 5. And I'm going to stun him. Stun. The next time this character would attack, discard this status card instead. Alright, and then this gets discarded. Okay. And then that's everything. So you definitely want to end your turn with no cards in hand. Because what's going to happen next is discard any number of cards from your hand. So if there's a card you really want to keep for next round, you can. But what ends up happening afterwards is you draw up to your hand size. So the less cards you have in your hand, the more you go through your deck, which is both a good and bad thing. In pretty much in all styles and strategies, you generally want to go through your deck quickly, even though there is a negative to it. All right, so we're going to go ahead and draw. So one other thing to note is both of us are in hero form, so Captain Marvel only draws 5 cards instead of 6. And for She-Hulk, unfortunately, she's only going to draw 4 cards, which is her big downside. All right, and then the other thing that happens is ready all exhausted cards. So you click this button, readies everything, and ready everything. Okay, it goes to villain phase. Place threat on the main scheme, so it's going to be based off this card here. So +1 per player, so it's going to add 2. And then the villain, and each engaged minion activates once per player and player order. If you are in hero form, they attack you. If you're an alter ego, they scheme. So I'm in hero form. We don't have to worry about any minions, so we'll start. Even if there were minions, you always start with the villain. So the villain's going to attack. So the thing I have to decide right now is, do I want to defend? My answer is no. So I'm not defending. If I had defended, I can reduce the damage by 1, but that's not really worth exhausting for. All right, so what ends up happening when you attack? when the villain attacks is they will deal a boost card. So you click that, it grabs the top card of the encounter deck, and then you flip it over. And when working with boost cards, all you need to worry about is in the bottom right corner. As you can see, there's that little 3-pointed star, red star there. That's a boost icon. The number of boost icons will increase the value of your scheme or attack by 1. So Rhino has 2 attack, and this is 1 boost, so it does 3 damage. And that's that attack over. All right, then, oh, actually, sorry. I need to take a step back. This attack did not happen. Remember, he's stunned, so this gets discarded instead. So this boost icon would actually go to She-Hulk. I was not going to defend with She-Hulk anyway, so it's going to do 3 damage to her. So yeah, the reason why Captain Marvel was not hit was because I punched Rhino so hard that he got stunned. All right, so that is it for attacks. Then we go to encounter cards, and the way it works is it says deal an encounter card, and then you reveal. So you have to resolve dealing first. So there and there. If there's ever a situation where you need to draw more than one of these cards, you'll alternate. So for example, we just dealt one. If there was like a +1 encounter card for this round, we would just deal out another one to Captain Marvel. And then if there was another one, you give to She-Hulk. All right, now we reveal them in player order. Stampede. When revealed as a hero, Rhino attacks you. If the character is damaged by this attack, that character is stunned. Okay, so now Rhino attacks. I'm still not going to defend. We'll go ahead and deal out a boost card. All right, +1. So this is going to do 3 damage. So she did get hit, and she's going to get stunned because I didn't prevent the damage. All right, and then for She-Hulk, she gets a minion. So this minion will be engaged. Minions, they have scheme and attack, and then they have that little 4 there, which is their HP. Toughness, this character begins play with the tough status effect. So tough, what this does is anytime a character with tough takes damage, you instead will discard tough and negate that damage. All right, I just want to get paid. All right. And I'm just checking a few things. Okay, good to go. All right, and then after that's all done, you pass the first player token. So now the first player is She-Hulk. All right, so we got Sandman to deal with, and he's actually pretty tough. He's criminal elite, and he has 2 scheme and 3 attack. He is a threat. There's no doubt about that. Okay. I don't want to do a bait and switch. So what I'm going to go ahead and start with is I'm going to do Focus Rage and take a damage and draw a card. All right. Can't do the limited stamina. Actually, this hand is awful. I can't do anything with this. I mean, I could thwart with it, but that's not going to do me any good. Yeah, this is kind of a lot of nothing. This guy is not guarding, so I can just attack over him. And that might be what I have to do right now, because I can't do anything else. Repurpose can't be used. Can't do bait and switch. All right, yeah, I'm just going to punch for 3, and I'm going to go for Rhino directly. And then I'm going to go ahead and switch to Alter Ego. And then I'm going to use, I'm going to exhaust Superhuman Law. And I'll discard this Genius to pay a Genius resource to remove 2 threat from a scheme. All right. And that's unfortunately kind of it. Yeah, this was a bad draw. I've never drawn that bad before. That was impressive. All right, Captain Marvel. She is currently stunned. So I will go ahead and attack with Captain Marvel just to get rid of the stun. I'm also going to go ahead and spend a... I'm just seeing what my option... Okay, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and spend a charge from this, exhaust it to produce a energy resource. Now I'm going to use her ability, spend a energy resource, and heal damage to draw a card. Okay, we got that going for us. I'm going to go ahead and spend an energy and a crisis interdiction to do Photonic Blast. and I'm going to do 5 damage to Rhino, and draw a card because I used nothing but energy for that. Okay, I can work with that. I'm going to go ahead and switch to hero form, or alter ego form. I'm going to go ahead and use her ability to draw a card. Alright, Power of Leadership. It provides 1 icon, but if you use it for a leadership card, it will actually produce double, so it'll produce 2. So yeah, I'll go ahead and do Power of Leadership to play Maria Hill. When Maria Hill enters play, each player draws 1 card. Alright. And I'll go ahead and... So one thing to note about allies, beneath their thwart and attack, you'll see that the little POW icon, the little star icon, that represents... I can't remember what it's called, but essentially it's how much damage they take when they perform said action. So if she thwarts or attacks, she'll take 1 damage to herself. So they can gradually kill themselves with their own attacks. Speaking of, I am going to go ahead and attack with Maria Hill. And I'm going to attack Sandman just to get rid of his tough. Alright. Next, I'm going to go ahead and exhaust... do I want to exhaust this? We'll give it a shot. I'm going to go ahead and exhaust Alpha Flight Station and discard Strength in Numbers to draw 2 cards because I'm in Carol Danvers form. 1 and 2. Okay, we can make this work. Alright, so what we're going to go ahead and do at this point is I'm going to use Strength to play Avenger's Tower. It's a support card. Alright, Avenger location. If each of your allies has the Avenger trait, increase your ally limit by 1. So it's right now we have no Avengers, so it doesn't actually do anything, but you can exhaust it to reduce the cost of your next Avenger ally play this phase by 1. So next time we get Avenger allies, we're going to make things happen with that. Next, I'm going to go ahead and discard a lead from the front to play Triskelion. This one is Location Shield, and it increases your ally limit by 1. So now I can play up to 4 allies. I think they made it tall enough from She-Hulk, and then that is it for her. Okay, so with that, we'll go ahead and dive right into discarding and all that good stuff. I think I'm going to go ahead and discard Limitless Stamina, Bait and Switch, Repurpose. Do I want to keep out the 1-2 punch? I think for now... Yeah, we'll keep out the 1-2 punch. Alright, and we'll draw 4 cards, because she's up to hand size 6 again. Alright, Symbiote Suit. Okay, Split Personality. We got some things to play around with there. I'm just seeing what I can do with that. Okay, yeah, I can do something with that. All right. Goes to, and then I ready her stuff, and we'll go to Carol Danvers here. I'm going to go ahead and discard the Photonic Blast, and then draw 6. All right. Okay, villain phase. So, 2 threat on the main scheme. Then, in player order, the villain's going to scheme. So it's going to get a boost card. Flip it over. This one has +2 boost icons, so it has 1 scheme +2, so just 3. Bring this up to... Oh, sorry. Let's take a step back. During the add threat to the main scheme, where it should have added 2, I'm going to go ahead and do an I object. When threat would be placed on a scheme, prevent 1 of it. So I'll produce that by 1. Then this scheme will happen, which will add 3, putting it up to 4. All right, and then the minion will act. It will also scheme for 2. Now, minions, unless it says otherwise, do not draw boost cards. All right, and then for Carol Danvers, Rhino is also going to scheme and do 2. So 8 out of 14 now. So as you can see, it can kind of get out of control real quick. All right, encounter card and encounter card. Bomb scare. Side scheme. Reports are out that Hydra agents have planted a bomb in a nearby hotel. When revealed, place 2 threat here. So there's 2 threat automatically from a start on the bottom there, and then it adds 2 more, so it's up to 4. And then that icon there is an acceleration icon. It adds an additional threat during the add threat to main scheme step. So instead of adding 2, it'll add 3 the next time it happens. So the way side schemes work is if you get rid of all the threat on it, it removes it. So if you can get rid of all of it, then we're in better shape. And then for you, you got I'm Tough. When revealed, give Rhino a tough status card. If he already has tough status card, this card gains surge. So he gets tough. Bring it, says Rhino. All right, and then we pass the rock, and we start a new round. Okie dokie. So, Carol Danvers, what do we want to do with you? Let's go ahead and do Genius first. I mean, we could get that out instead. All right, let's get out. Yeah, we'll use Genius and get out the Enhanced Reflexes. Now, I can't use this unless I'm in hero form, so we'll deal with that in a bit. I am going to go ahead and exhaust the Alpha Flight Station here and discard Cosmic Flight. And draw 2 cards. All right. I'm going to go ahead and has to be an Avenger ally, so that's not going to help me. I'm going to go ahead and discard Lead from the Front. Actually, I will discard Strength in Numbers and Crisis Interdiction to play Ironheart. Champion, 1/1, 2 health. I'm totally going to be like Tony Stark, except for the weird facial hair. After you play Ironheart from your hand, draw 1 card. Hey, Spider-Woman. Alright. She is an Avenger. Alright. I'm just making sure. I don't think I've done my ability yet. 1 second. Okay, I have not done Carol Danvers' ability yet, so I'm going to use her ability to draw a card. Alright, so this is a way to get make things into Avengers if I want to. I'm not going to worry about that right now. Alright, I am going to go ahead and switch to hero form. I'm going to go ahead and use a charge from this to heal 1 damage and draw a card. Hello, White Tiger. Alright. So I can use this to pay that, pay that, pay that. Okay, yeah, I think I'm going to do this. Alright, so I'm going to use the Avengers Tower, exhaust it to reduce the cost of your next Avenger ally played by this round by 1. I'm going to do that for Spider-Woman here. So I need to pay 2 for that, so I'm going to use an energy from this. And then I'm going to go ahead and discard Avengers Mansion. So that gets her out. After Spider-Woman enters play, confuse the villain. So confusion is like stun, except for thwarting, or for scheming. Or actually, it applies for thwarting as well. Anytime you thwart or scheme, you discard it instead. Okay. And then the last thing I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to discard White Tiger and Honorary Avenger to play Lead from the Front. Choose a player. Each character that player controls gets a +1 thwart and +1 attack until the end of the phase. Let's go, everyone. So with this, right now I have 3 thwart, 3 attack, and then all of these characters also are buffed up quite a bit. So, I'm going to Alright, I can have... Yeah, I can make this work. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and thwart with Maria Hill for 3. I'm going to get rid of it on that. I'm going to go ahead and thwart with Ironheart for 2, and I'm going to do it on the Bomb Scare. And then I'm going to thwart with Spider-Woman here. And then I'm going to punch with Captain Marvel on this guy, because he needs to go. So 3 damage, and then this gets resolved. Okay, and then we go to She-Hulk here. Alright, so She-Hulk, I can do a couple things. I'm going to go ahead and discard energy. Well, first, we'll see. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and discard this energy and this limitless stamina to get out Quinn Carrier. Oh, actually, I can't play that yet. I have to be in hero form, because here Jennifer Walters is Attorney Gamma. She is not an Avenger. Okay, so with that in mind, do I want to just risk it? I'm going to play those. So if I play those to get out Quinn Carrier. Alright, I'm going to change one thing. Instead of thwarting on this for 3. Actually, no, we'll keep it. We'll just have to endure it. Alright. Yeah, I think we're going to have to endure it. Okay. Let's switch to hero form. It's going to do 2 damage to Sandman. Get rid of him finally. I am going to go ahead and take a damage and draw a card. Should have did that first. Oh well. I mean, Ground Stomp could have done... Well, I was probably not going to pay for it anyway. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and use a energy and a limitless stamina to play Quinn Carrier. Avenger vehicle, only play if you're an Avenger, which in She-Hulk form, she is an Avenger. And then exhaust it to generate a wild resource. Too bad we can only get one of these. Alright. Then I'm going to go ahead and punch for 3. Oh, sorry, it won't do 3. It will get rid of the tough. Alright. And then I'm going to discard these 3 cards to play Split Personality. Change your form, flip your identity card, then draw up to your printed hand size. I know a thing or two about Rage, but that kind of fury, it's not going to pass without taking someone with it. So we switch back to Jennifer Walters, and we're going to draw 6 cards. Alright. I'm going to go ahead and exhaust Superhuman Law Division and pay it using Ground Stomp to get rid of... So I know Bomb Scare's coming. So I'm actually just going to get rid of it on the main thing. I do know what happens when you get to phase 2. So I'm going to go ahead and leave that alone. Alright. Then from here... It's a hero action, so I can't do anything with this anyway. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and discard What Doesn't Kill Me to play Night Nurse. Uses 3 medical counters. Persona. Exhaust Night Nurse to remove 1 medical counter from her, and then heal 1 damage from a hero and discard 1 status card from them. So this can cure things like stunned and confusion. Alright, and then I'm going to discard Downtime. Yeah, I'll go ahead and discard... Yeah, either way, it doesn't matter. Okay. Yeah, I don't have enough to play everything, unfortunately. So I'm going to go ahead and discard Downtime and repurpose to play Energy Barrier. Has 3 reflection counters. Okay. When you would take any amount of damage, remove 1 reflection counter from here to prevent 1 damage and deal 1 damage to the enemy. Alright. And that's kind of it for right now. So that is everything. So I'll go ahead and draw cards. So draw up to 5 for Captain Marvel here. And then ready. And then for you, you're going to ready and draw 6 cards. Okay. Enemy turn. So add threat to the main scheme. So it's going to be 2 + 1 because of the bomb scare. And it's going to get reduced by 1 because of Jennifer Walters. So it just gains 2. Alright, and then it's going to punch Captain Marvel here. Captain Marvel is not going to defend. So get ourselves a boost card. Flip this over. +1. So it's going to do 3 damage. And then he's going to scheme on Jennifer Walters here, and that'll just get rid of the confusion. Alright, and then we pass the rock. So far, so good. Okay. So I'm down, what, 6 health? Okay. So I don't care about the legal practice right now. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and just exhaust the Superhuman Law Division and discard Gamma Slam, because I'm not going to use it right now, and get rid of that threat. Okay. Then I am going to go ahead and switch over to... actually, I'm going to go ahead and use Night Nurse to heal a damage on Captain Marvel. And then I'm going to go ahead and switch over to Hero Form, which will do 2 damage. Alright. I'm going to go ahead and take a damage and draw a card using Focused Rage. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and use Quinn Carrier to get 1 resource, then Recuperation and Legal Practice to get out Focused Rage. I'm going to use that Focused Rage to take 1 damage and draw a card. Alright. And I think I can actually prevent the damage from this using an Energy Barrier, but I'm not going to do that. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and discard Ready to Rumble and Hellcat to get out Superhuman Strength. I'm then going to go ahead and hit him for 5. So he's going to get hit and stunned. This gets discarded, and we go ahead and advance to the next stage. Alright, so search the encounter deck and discard pile for the Breaking and Taken side scheme, and reveal it. Shuffle the encounter deck. Out of my way. Alright, so now he has 3 attack, and he has 15 HP per player, so it's going to be 30. And I got mixed up. I forgot Bomb Scare is actually the module. Of course, it didn't matter. Alright, not a big deal. We can make it work. Let's... That's it for, yeah, that's going to be it for She-Hulk. We'll go ahead and go to Captain Marvel next. Captain Marvel is going to go ahead and use the charge from this thing. Fortunately, it does stay out in play. Heal 1 and go ahead and draw a card. Okay, I can maybe do something with that. Next, I'm going to go ahead and... So, oh, by the way, breaking and taken. When revealed, place an additional 2 threat on it, so it should have 5. And then that plus card icon is deal 1 additional encounter card during the villain phase. So earlier, that symbiote card has that same symbol. So if you actually equip the symbiote suit, it actually increases the amount of encounter cards you get. Okay. So right now, let's go with... I'm going to go ahead and play Energy Channel. Actually, I can do it as an action, so that's fine. Alright, so for Captain Marvel's action, I'm going to go ahead and thwart, which will reduce this by 2. I'm going to go ahead and thwart with, and I'll wait on the others, actually. So I'm going to thwart, and then I'm going to proceed to flip over and draw a card using Carol Danvers' ability. Hey, Squirrel Girl. I'll go ahead and use the Power of Leadership to play Squirrel Girl, because it's a leadership card. When she comes out and plays, she deals 1 damage to each enemy. Come on, squirrels, let's get them. Oh yeah, I didn't even read about Spider-Woman. This is what I wanted, helping the innocent by hospitalizing the guilty. So 1 damage to you. All right. I'm then going to go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and discard my Cosmic Flight and draw 2 cards using the Alpha Flight Station. Alright, so I have no cards left, so this is going to get reshuffled immediately, and I get immediately dealt an encounter card. Now, when you're dealt an encounter card, they're dealt face down, and they do not flip until step 4 of the villain phase. So yeah, that's the risk. That's the rule I never knew about for a long time, which is once you cycle through your deck, it will do this. Now, if you cycle through the encounter deck, what it does is it actually produces these acceleration tokens, and they accumulate. So, besides all of that... Alright, I'm going to go ahead and use Energy Absorption to play Helicarrier. Location Shield, max 1 per player. Exhaust to choose a player and reduce the resource cost of the next card that player plays this phase by 1. A flying aircraft carrier, you're kidding, right? Alright, and then with this I can go... I'm going to go, what is this? I'm going to use the Avengers Tower and Helicarrier to play Hawkeye. And I can have 4 of them because I have Triskelion. Actually, yeah, I could actually have 5 if I make Ironheart into something else. Alright, next. So I could do Strength in Numbers and draw a bunch of cards, which is an option. Oh, did I? Oh yeah, that's right, you went first. Okay, yeah, but I need to deal with the I need to deal with these schemes here. So I'm gonna go ahead and do Honorary Avenger on Spider-Woman. So play only if... Oh, I can't play this because I'm not an Avenger. Okie dokie, never mind. Well, I guess a lot of people are going to die then. So, I'm going to go ahead and thwart with Spider-Woman. And I'm going to get rid of 2 threat there. I'm going to thwart with Squirrel Girl to get rid of Breaking and Taken. I'm going to go ahead and thwart with Ironheart. And then I'm going to thwart with Hawkeye. Get rid of all that. There we go. Progress made. Yeah, so I can't do Strength in Numbers. I'm going to go ahead and play the Energy Channel, but I'm not going to be able to put anything on. Actually, I can put 1 thing on it. There we go. So every charge I have on this, I can eventually discard it as a hero action to unleash it all as 2 damage per charge up to 10. So we can use that for a big boom. And then the rest of this, yeah, I can't do anything with this. Okay, so we'll go ahead and do, I'm going to discard the repurpose and draw 4 cards. And then you too will get a encounter card. This phase might be a bit painful. All right, and then ready cards. And then I'm going to go ahead and discard do I want to discard anything? Not really. Well, I don't want to get rid of I want to get rid of Honorary Avenger at least. Strength in numbers, I can at least do something with it. All right, well, let's draw. Okay. All right, multiple strength in numbers. Okay, well, then I didn't need this other one. Okie dokie. And then ready. Okay, so we'll go ahead and go to enemy phase. Enemy is going to get 1 threat, or no, 2 threat, because I'm not in Alter Ego. And then player order, so it's going to start with She-Hulk. Rhino is going to attack, which the stun will soak. And then he's going to scheme against Carol Danvers. Adds nothing, so adds just does 1. All right. Then we deal out encounter cards on top of the ones that we already have waiting for us. All right, and then we just go in order. All right. Assault. When revealed as the hero, the villain attacks you. You should have stayed in black because I'm going to dirty you up bad. All right. I will not defend. We'll just let it hit me. He is going to hit for like a lot though. +2. Well, good. So this Shadow of the Past, that's the card if you draw it as an event or as an encounter card. That is what will make your arch nemesis come out. So, yay for getting rid of that. Ouch for about the amount of damage we're about to take. All right, so we're going to take 5 damage. We're going to take 4 and use one of the charges here to reduce the damage by 1 and do 1 damage back. All right, and then next card. When revealed, deal 1 damage to each hero. I'm going to go ahead and reduce that by 1 as well and do a damage back at you. And then you are going to take... you're not a hero. Yeah, so you can see here where it says hero, and then you can see here that it says alter ego. That's what makes a difference. So yeah, this will actually only hit She-Hulk here. Shocker, 1 scheme, 2 attack, 3 health. I bet you're shocked to see me. All right, and then we go to Carol Danvers here. Stampede. When revealed as alter ego against Surge. And then he schemes. Okay. Deal boost card. I ain't an ideas guy. That is true. So he gets 2. 1 + 1 there. And then the other encounter card. Attach the Rhino. Weapon. Enhance Ivory Horn. Spend 3 strength icon resources as a hero action to get rid of it. And until it's gotten rid of, he has +1 attack. So he has 4 attack now. And as you can see, we're getting a little beat up. All right, first player token gets passed over. And we need to get to work. So, first I'm going to do Carol Danvers' ability and draw a card. And then we'll see what we can make happen here. Using one of those resources. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and do Strength in Numbers and exhaust both characters to draw a card each. Good thing I brought friends. All right. Then I'm going to Alright, we got Adventures Assemble. That's something we can play around with. Alright. I'm going to go ahead and discard this Cosmic Flight. And this Power of Leadership. No, not yet. Change my mind. I'm going to go ahead and use Alpha Flight Station, discard Strength in Numbers to draw 2 cards because I'm Carol Danvers. Okay. That is a lot of things we can play around with. Okay. Whew. Alright. Alright, so what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to go ahead and switch to hero form. I'm going to go ahead and spend this last energy resource to heal 1 and draw a card. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and use this Honorary Avenger plus this Strength. That's 3 icons, and get rid of this. Alright. I'm then going to go ahead and I'm going to reduce the cost of my next card by 1 with a Helicarrier. And then use Crisis Interdiction and Power of Leadership to pay for my Photonic Blast. It's going to do 5 damage and I can draw a card. Okay, another one of these. Okay. I'm then going to go ahead and these are all Avengers, right? Yep. Okay, I think I'm going to go. I'm going to discard Cosmic Flight and Energy Channel to play Lead from the Front. So I'll choose Captain Marvel. +1 thwart and +1 attack for each character I control. So then I'm going to go ahead and punch for 3. I'm then going to go ahead and spend Genius and Energy to play Avengers Assemble. Ready each Avenger character you control. Until the end of the round, each Avenger character has +1 thwart and +1 attack. So that's on top of this effect. So ready, ready, ready. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and punch for 4. Squirrel Girl will punch for 2. And Hawkeye will punch for 3. That does kill these 2. Then I will go ahead and discard Energy Channel. It only has 1 charge on it, but it'll do 2 damage, taking it down to 9. Okay. I did all I could. Unfortunately, I don't think it's going to be enough. Yeah, I'm going to be short a little bit of damage. All right, She-Hulk. I'm going to take a damage, draw a card. Take a damage, draw a card. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and use Repurpose. Discard a tech upgrade you control. Oh, actually, I can ready the hero. Never mind. Yeah, we're good to go. We can do this. I'm going to hit for 3 damage. And then 1-2 punch after you make a basic attack using your attack. Ready She-Hulk. I just don't care for men with fresh mouths. I'm going to go ahead and discard Legal Practice to pay for it, which will ready her. And then I'm going to punch for 3 damage. This guy does not have guard, so he's not stopping any of my attacks. Then I'm going to do Repurpose. So discard a tech upgrade, ready your hero, and then choose either thwart, attack, or defense. And then until the end of the round, your hero gets +X to the chosen power, where X is equal to the that upgrade's printed cost. So what I should have done is actually I should have done Repurpose first, and then do the 1-2 punch, because that would actually do more damage. So I'm going to discard this tech upgrade, which will give me. Now I'm going to choose Fight. So I get 2 plus 2 to this, so I'm at 5. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and punch for 5. And that is game. So there you go. Sorry for this one being a very long video. There was a lot to talk about. For future scenarios, I'll have most of this stuff set up ahead of time, but I will go over specifics, for example, from the main scheme for setup. And also, the next few of them, we won't have to go over the decks. I intend on playing as Captain Marvel and She-Hulk for the entirety of the core set. So we'll be going against the other 2 villains that are part of this set. So with that, we are done with the Rhino. Next will be Claw. And then after that, it's Ultron. As you can probably guess, it's kind of escalating difficulty at that point. So, with that, I am the Oppressed Eeyore. This was Marvel Champions. Hopefully I didn't make too many mistakes. It is a little hard to juggle all the effects that are going around, especially the ones that are like very specific, like hero, that are only for hero or with a certain trait, or to a certain card type. Like, for example, this Avengers Tower can only reduce cost for allies, but not for anything else that's Avenger. But anyway, I am the Depressed Hero, Marvel Champions, and I'll see you guys next time.